Happy April Fool's Day! I'm going to lie to you. I'm not great with pranks since I've always had a hard time telling when people are joking around with me, so I'm being very upfront, and fishing in Final Fantasy XIV is the perfect topic. Every possible rule has an exception, basic mechanics have been changed, removed, and replaced. What some skills even do can be hard to decipher, terminology is incomprehensible, and the patch notes are full of major omissions and just straight up errors. The end result is a never-ending torrent of misinformation and rumor, and today I am going to add to it, by lying to you. But these are carefully crafted lies. Each one sounds like something that could absolutely be true if you didn't know any better, and to make it a little more fun, while all of the lies themselves are all pretty plausible, they're all built on a shaky foundation. Either something you can directly contradict Phoenix Wright style, or it relies on a kind of weird assumption, or something is just really off. Whatever it is, every one of these statements has something you can point to argue that I'm wrong. Sound fun? Well, it does to me. Without further ado, 5 plausible-sounding lies about fishing in Final Fantasy XIV. There aren't very many fish that can't be desynthesized. Some quest fish, some crafting ingredients, and, for some reason, the Greater Serpent of Ronka. Apart from jokes about how obviously you can't desynth it because it's a god, it seems really weird that a fish with no particular use has a special property like this. What many people don't realize is that for a brief window of time, the Greater Serpent of Ronka did have a special use. It used to be possible to exchange the Greater Serpent of Ronka for a minion after completing a certain quest line in the Raktika Greatwood. After finishing the quest Protectors of the Wood, Quinfort would exchange one Greater Serpent of Ronka for a Behatted Serpent of Ronka minion. This is similar to how you can exchange one of the Titania EX mats for a minion in Ilmeg after completing a questline there. However, for some reason, the Greater Serpent exchange was removed from the game entirely with the introduction of the Qitari Beast Tribal Allied Society quests in patch 5.2, with the minion just moved to the list of special vendor items there. Eastern Lenosha is home to a number of fishing oddities, but one of the most subtle is that it has one of only 2 legendary fish in the entire game that doesn't share a fishing hole with a regular big fish. The other one is Warden of the Seven Hues, which lives in Prism Lake, a gimmick fishing spot that basically exists specifically for that legendary fish. But why is Neptodragon all alone at Rotano Sea Privateer Sterncastle? Well, it actually didn't used to be. Little Thalios used to be a big fish and it was downgraded, the only time a big fish has ever become a regular fish or vice versa. This change occurred alongside the addition of Little Pericos in patch 4.0, which makes it extra confusing. Wouldn't it make more sense for both of them to be big fish? Especially since they don't appear to have changed anything else about Little Thalios at all with the downgrade. Just very strange. Hey, on the topic of Little Pericos, isn't it weird how it's a big fish but it only has a 2 exclamation point bite strength? And the Salter has a 1 exclamation point bite? And those are literally the only 2 big fish that aren't 3 exclamation point bites? Well, big fish used to have a variety of bite strengths, but at one point they were, almost, all consolidated into 3 exclamation point bites. While today all big fish, well, almost all, use the 3 exclamation point indicator, they used to have a more roughly even distribution between the 3 strengths. It wasn't until patch 5.2 in Shadowbringers they were all given the 3 exclamation point indicators used today. Unlike a lot of these statements, I actually have proof to back me up on this. It says this one in plain text right on the console games wiki. Anyway, the only major remnant of the days of these different big fish bite strengths is the fact that about a third of all big fish still prefer precision hookset despite having a ferocious bite strength, a fact which has tripped up many a novice fisher going for their first armor fish. It's not common, but it has happened a few times that an entirely new fishing hole has been added mid-expansion. But did you know that on one occasion the opposite occurred? That's right. An entire fishing hole was removed from the Dravanian hinterlands. Southern Quickspill Delta was a fishing hole located in this overhang region near Matoya's Cave. In patch 3.5, it was completely removed without even a mention in the patch notes and before it could ever be assigned a big fish. But there's a lot of questions about both why they did this and why they did it the way they did, because they did it very weirdly. Normally you would assume that if they removed a fishing hole, they would merge it into Quickspill Delta itself, right? But instead, It's just a dead fishing hole. This whole cave. It's a huge area and you can't fish in it at all. It's very, very strange. My best guess as to why they did it this way is that it's in kind of a weird, out-of-the-way spot, so they probably figured nobody would bother coming out here to fish anyway. Unequipping your gear makes it easier to catch Titanic sawfish. I read this online, so it must be true. So, did you find your way through my sinister labyrinth of trickery? Do you know what's fact? And what's fiction? But how can any of us truly, though, when you really think about it? What can we take as true on its face? What sources are trustworthy? If I say I'm lying to you, what parts of what follows can even be believed? How can anything be believed? How can you even know anything at all is real? What if nothing is real? What if none of us are real? What if I'm not real? What if everything I've ever experienced isn't real? What if it's all a brief instant of hallucination in a flash of consciousness caused by a miraculous arrangement of space dust in one single moment? What if even that space dust is a figment? If you enjoyed this, be sure to like and subscribe and maybe check out some of my other videos and maybe follow me on Blue Sky. And I don't really stream very often, but you can follow me on Twitch also. Okay, have a nice day.